All right, everyone, well, welcome back. And we are very luckily joined this morning by the pit master himself, John Hackleman. So, John, look, firstly, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We know you're a busy man. First question I wanted to ask you is, can you speak to how you first began your own martial arts journey?
Yeah, I just been going over this with one of my oldest friends that was at this first dojo I went to, and we were talking about the old past, trying to fill in blanks because it's 50 years ago. So, um, it was a rough area, um, and I just knew that having blonde hair, in that area in Honolulu, Hawaii. Um, I just heard horror stories about what's going to happen when I get to seventh grade. That was a big leap because my elementary school is fine, but I heard nightmares about the middle school. We call it intermediate school, and that's seventh, eighth, and ninth grade. And I just heard nightmares about when I got there. Because having blonde hair, they like to single out the howlies as they call them, which is a white person, and beat them up, take the lunch money, etc. So I started. I knew I had to do some. So while I was still in elementary school, I started looking at different martial arts gyms, with with a purpose. Like I knew I had to do it. Um, so I looked around at a couple of places, took the bus, didn't ask my parents for help about it. That's weird. That's the one thing I look back at. And I even talked to my sister about it. I was like, I was like 10 years old and I was like catching the bus all over the place to do my martial arts. And my mom never came and, she never came in once to watch me. And I trained there from 1970 till my instructor died in 2001. But because now we have a school, a martial arts school, and there's all the parents come, they come and watch their kids every day. I know the parents better than I know the kids. So that was weird. But anyway, so I looked around and I found a couple of places I went in, didn't really like it, tried it, didn't like it. And then I walked in to this one, Godin School of Self-Defense. And the second I walked in, I knew this was it. Not just the place I was going to train. I knew this was my life. I just walking in, seeing the people training, I was like, I knew that was going to be it for the rest of my life. And I've never really deviated from that. And that was in 71, 72, 1910. Wow. Nothing's ever changed in the way I feel about that martial art or martial arts in general.
Wow, John, the pit was founded obviously back in 1986, and it's incredible that it's still going. It's on 36 years later. I mean, congratulations on that, because that is pretty big, man. Where do you see the future of the pit? Is there a time limit? Do you see yourself ever stepping back, or do you think you'll sort of still be there till the wheels fall off, as they say?
Both, but mainly, I'll be a part of it forever, because it's not something I'm going to retire from, like a 8 to 5. Getting older, I'll probably not go in and do so many of the classes and teach physically, but I'm always going to be involved in the pit. I have, the kids are going to take it over, and the guys, up and coming guys, I'm always going to have people like Glover, that are carrying on. I got, Rick Metzler in Malibu, and there's just a bunch of loyal pit guys. I'm sure the name will carry on, and I see it going the same way. It's going to be student martial art, traditional, heavy, and then a fight team on the side, and that's kind of how the pit's always been. The 90% is the students with the belts, and the guys that want to get their black belt and learn how to defend their wives and their families and the kids and not getting bullied. and that's my mainstay. And they're going up in belts, and they have a belt system. And then I'm going to have my fight team, and that'll always be a pit fight team on the side, but it'll always be on the side. You know, it's never going to be a AKA or ATT. It's always going to be, you know, number one is going to be the traditional students, and number two is going to be my fight team. But my fight team has to be my traditional students. So even if they just want to be fighters, they have to come up the belt system too.
Yeah, for sure. So, John, something particularly interesting in your martial arts journey is the development of your own style, Hawaiian Kempo. Can you speak to what the technical or foundational differences between the style that you teach compared to some of the other styles that are out there today?
I think I could just bring my style in where I started, and that's Kaju Kempo. You guys heard of Kaju Kempo? That's karate, judo, jiu-jitsu, Kempo, and boxing. And it was put together in Honolulu, Hawaii back in 1947. And it's grown a lot since then. But that was my system where I came up, with some Shotokan and judo. But I realized early on that I didn't like doing things that weren't going to help me protect my lunch money. And then later on in my career, helped me win a title. And now now this part of my career, help my fighters win the UFC title. And I realized that there was a lot of techniques that just didn't belong in a true martial arts system. Maybe they belonged in a dancing system or something where they compete, you know, but nothing in a real life martial arts system or a real life martial arts sport. So I took out some things that were in my original system that I did from white to black belt. But now that I'm a black belt, I opened my own school. With the blessing of my instructor, I asked him, that I wanted to do this, and he gave me his blessings. So I took out a lot of those traditional techniques that I felt were weighing my curriculum down. So I replaced them with hardcore physical conditioning, and all fighting techniques. And it became, and I didn't want to keep the name that I had because it wouldn't be true to the name, because the proprietary movements in Kaju Kempo I wasn't using anymore. So I knew I couldn't call it Kaju Kempo. So since Kempo means law of the fist, and I'm from Hawaii, I just called it Hawaiian Kempo.
Awesome. So, John, something we're seeing more and more of in gyms today is the focus on more technical sparring, which helps protect everyone in the gym and keep everyone sort of on track for their fight. Do you think though that if you want to pursue a fight career, you need to have hard rounds of sparring in order to somewhat simulate a fight in intensity, or can you simply do technical sparring and situational sparring and still get the same benefit?
Both. I think I push much more towards technical and drilling. We just call it drilling. But then there is sparring. And when I spar, usually I almost never go hard anymore. And I always give percentages. There's 3 numbers, and it's face, body, and legs. So I'll say, okay, freestyle sparring, because I want them to get to react and stuff and learn how to react to stuff. So they have to do that. If you don't teach them that, you just drill and never free spar, you'll never have a fighter. You just won't, But you can save their brain cells. So most of my sparring, probably 90% of the sparring that I do is 2, 88, and 7. So 2% power of the face with 100% speed, and then 88% to the body. I want to see some banging in the body, and then 7% in the legs, because I don't want them tearing each other's legs up. And then sometimes they just go freestyle balls, balls to wall, and some, not always balls, might be fallopian tubes, because we do have a woman. but I don't want to get in trouble. But I'm going to get now canceled or something. But anyway, so most of my sparring is drilling or very controlled sparring. Some of my guys have fights coming up. It always starts as that. This is the way I'll put it. It always starts as very controlled sparring, but it doesn't always end like that.
Yep.
Because sometimes, and I tell them, if your guy hits you a little harder, then you can go harder too, or you can say, bro, back off. But you can do either. And if you guys want to go harder than that, then you can. So unless I see one guy that's much better than the other, I don't like that. But if there's two guys, even Steven, especially the fight team, and they want to go a little bit, I'll let them go a little bit, you know. But I don't push sparring like it was pushed on me when I was coming up. I don't think, you know, that will never happen. I can't even believe I couldn't even think with all the sparring we did back there and we were swinging for the fences at each other's head, you know. So there was no control. There was no percentages. Everything was all out. And that's the way all of my sparring was from day one till I retired. But I don't want my fighters or my students to do that. It's just, to me, the benefit doesn't equal the danger.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, John, final question from us, because we know you're a busy guy and got to get out of here. But we were just wondering, can you speak to the pride you have in one of your students, in Glover Texeira, who in these later chapters of his career not only became a world champion, but is also putting on some of the best performances of his career, such as against Anthony Smith, Jan Blachowicz, and recently against Yuri Prochazka?
Yeah. Yeah, to be honest, like, his fighting's okay. You know, it's good. I love Glover, and he's been my student since 2002 or something. So I'm more proud of him right now about the man he's become. You know, the American dream that he's worked his bled for, sweat for, you know, and now he has the American dream. You know, he has a great lifestyle. He has a great security blanket. He's training other people. He's opened up a gym where he's teaching students and fighters. And, you know, he's become such a great martial artist in all the aspects that, to me, even though, yes, he's a great fighter, he's made all these amazing fights lately. His heart and conditioning are out of the ballpark. You know, I mean, you just can't even. You just watch him fight, and all of a sudden you think he's going to lose, and all of a sudden he comes back and wins. All heart. He's and even with that, I'm still more proud of him. More about just what he's become as a martial artist and a man. You know, you can't find anything bad to say. If you can find something bad to say, can you swear in the show?
Yeah, go for it.
This is true story. If you honestly can find anything bad to say about Glover Texeira, you yourself is a piece of shit scumbag.
I love it. That's beautiful.
Because you just can't find anything. You can find stuff about me. You really can. And I would be like, well, you're right there. But Glover Texeira, there's no bad side to Glover Texeira. And even when he's losing, if he starts getting older at 43 or 4 or whatever, I mean, that's still not a bad thing. I mean, he's still a fucking amazing competitor. But just as a man and a competitor and a fighter and a UFC champion, if you can find something bad to say about him, you got to look inside your fucking soul, because you don't have one.
100%. John, beautiful way to finish. I know you got an appointment to get to, man, but we would love to chat to you again, man, because it was a lot of fun. And next time we'll make it a bit longer, and we'll chat a bit longer. But,
anytime, bro.
Man, we appreciate it, and we'll let you go. But look forward to chatting again soon, man.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you, John.
Thanks very much.